morning, family. Good morning, Mishpachah. Hey, I was in the middle of a study, and I thought I would come in here and talk to you about this real quick. Actually, it is early in the morning. It is very, very early in the morning, family. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Hey, listen. Um, it is so early in the morning. Right now it's 6:57. I'm usually up at work or whatever, but it's a day off, and right now it's 6:57, and the Father woke me up about 4 hours ago, and I couldn't go back to sleep, so I knew I had to get up, and I came in here and started doing what I normally do. So, first of all, before we go any further, after our good mornings, I want to say, first of all, that we may see me using other people's material. We always go through this for fair use, teaching, parody, although we don't make fun of anyone and we're not trying to infringe on anyone's copyrights. So now that that's said, we may be using someone else's materials. But let me say good morning to you. Hi, how are you? The surroundings, they do look different, don't they? I ended up tearing this place apart and putting it all back together for one unit. I'm actually sitting in this place has always been known as a cockpit, but now it really is the cockpit because I'm sitting in it, as you can see. And I've got all the books out, my Strong's Concordance, my Zondervan Bible dictionaries back there. I've got my companion Bible here in front of me. I'm in the midst of it. I got my companion right here in front of me. Let me get that in the light. There it is, the companion. It's got a cover on it, so it shows kind of green. Got the companion here. I've got the dakes here, and yeah, I got woke up with something this morning, and it kind of had me in a position where I really didn't know why I was awake. Why am I awake at this hour? What's going on? And usually when I have that happen, I got to get up and come in here and do this. And what happens is that I don't typically go for a particular thing. I grab the book, I open it, and where it falls open to, that's where he wanted me this morning. Wow. So what do? I grab the book and I open it. This companion right here. And it opens up. It opens up to Isaiah 11. Okay. And actually, yeah, it opened up to Isaiah 11. And Isaiah 11:11 to be exact. Okay. So just to give you an idea, I'm telling you, sometimes the Father is just so deep with me. And I'm reading from the King James 16:11, but I'm going to put it over into the this one here so you can understand it. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Okay, so he woke me up with that, right? And promises, his promises, the way he comforts us. See, I've been having a struggle. I've been, excuse me, because I got a lot going on in my head right now. I'm sorry. But my struggle is I have a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine is a pastor. And he's in a Christian church. He's a pastor of a Christian church. He's a really good friend of mine. And I've been struggling with how to minister this truth to him. He's really passionate about what he's doing. And I don't want to... See, we have to be careful when we're talking to people, when we're dealing with people, because we kind of have to meet them where they are. But I don't want to speak out of self. I kind of want to just tell him where my story, where I'm at. Now, if you guys have seen the, I was out with his church, a month or so ago. No, maybe 2 months ago. And we had Eric Gale out with us. Who was an internationally known jazz trumpet player. And then my friend T. Watts. T and I were both at Motown at the same time, but we didn't know each other then. We didn't meet until after, but we were there. We know all the same people. We ran in the same circles. You know, we were telling each other the same stories, and it's like, well, who are you? Where were you? I was there. Obviously, I was there. I know the same stories you know. So T and I now are really, really good friends. And trumpet player. And so these two guys are like, you know, my heart. They were a couple of the first ones I connected with when I got here. And so I want to speak to them, but not out of self, out of the book. And we have to be very gentle when we're bringing this message to people. We have to be very conversational, you know, because as a pastor, as a Christian pastor, just like me, he's licensed and ordained. He's gonna no, but the scripture says here, and you know, and I don't want to get into that with him. You know, I really don't. So he asked me, he saw me the other day, and he commented on the beard. He's clean shaven, and you know, he commented on the beard, and I said, well, you know, the Father had been dealing with me, man, in a different way, and he put some scriptures in front of me, and I had to be obedient. And he said, you know, well, if he put the scriptures in front of you, you got to be obedient. I'm like, that's true. So then we talked, and he let me know that, you know, his church has been under attack and persecution. He said, you got to pray for me, bruh. So I gave him a hug right then. I just gave him a big old hug. And I told him, I said, you know, I got you, man. You know, I got you. So then he started to open up and tell me some different things. And I didn't say anything, but he made a comment that the tree had been shook. And I said, I saw a documentary a few months back. Well, actually, it's maybe longer than that now. Probably about a year or more now that I think about it, where there was a scientist, someone had challenged him and said that plants have no consciousness and that they have no cognitive abilities. And his argument was that anything that is alive has a consciousness. of some sort. Anything that is alive and growing, because it is life and it's God-given life, there's some sort of a cognitive ability. It might not be what you think cognitive abilities are, but there is a cognitive ability. So to prove a point, he hooked this plant up to a whole bunch of different sensors and monitors and needles and things so you can see if there's any kind of response. He took a pair of scissors and he just went like this to the plant. Nothing happened. So there's, it's a plant with some branches hanging off. And then he did like that again and nothing happened. And he was measuring this the whole time. And then he went with intent to cut. And the plant braced itself, and you can see the meters going all off the chart, because it knew that intent at that point was going to get cut and it was going to hurt. And he went with intent, and he got right there, but he didn't snip it. But the plant knew that this time it's for real. And it braced itself, and you can see the needles. And so I told him, I said, sometimes, man, when the Father is dealing with us, he allows the pruning to happen. And sometimes, the scissors come close, and we know it's not, nothing's going to happen. But then there are those moments when the scissors come close, and we know this is it. Here's the cut. And so I say, if the tree got shook, the intent was for the pruning. And you braced yourself, and you're feeling it now. That the pain of that pruning. Because he says that his little church got shook up pretty well, to the point where it almost knocked the church off. Well, I have a different thought about that, because it's a lot of people of all nations. And my understanding of what our position is with the nations, and it's right here in Isaiah, as we start to go through this and look at this, I can see that, and I had seen that I saw it here just a moment ago, and I'm not sure if I'm looking in the right place, but what I do is I back up. Oh yeah, so I'm one of those. I keep reading. I'm one of those people that keep reading. So he woke me up with 11:11, and I read through to 14. And when I got to 14, let's see. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Most High has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations. Again, remember, those are the peoples, all the different nations. In anger, he's persecuted, and nobody can stop it. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved forward to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee. In other words, it's making room. It's moving dead out the way to make room for your arrival. even all the chief ones of the earth. It raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they speak, all they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. You know what pomp is? Pomp is that pride. Pomp is that we. When I was in high school, we used to play a song called "Pomp and Circumstance." It was our jazz band used to play it, like the Great Gate of Kiev, and songs like those. And pomp is this noise and celebratory. Here you come, and you're in all of your regal glory. It's your pomp. All that pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols. See, now when you get to the noise of thy viols, we're not talking about a man here, not a physical man. We're talking about this is Lucifer himself, the Antichrist. The worm is spread under thee, the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne upon the stars, above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. When the grave casts you out, when it doesn't even want you. Oh, man. And as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, thou go down to the stones of the pit, and as a carcass trodden underfoot. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. So we're, this is in that day. This is Lucifer. This is Israel's remnant taunts Babylon. So those of us who are left, or those of Israel who are left, shall be saying to this Babylonian king, this system, and this individual here, look at you. You thought you were so great, and here you are, just as weak as we are. Because in 14:1, the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Okay. So when you have the nations who are among you, this is a prophetic, because it hasn't happened yet. We're reading on the scriptures some things that have occurred, but it's being spoken of in a way that yet to come. So some things have occurred, but that same story is yet to come. There is nothing new under the sun. What has been will be again. Okay, so you can read one story, and that's why I love Paul's teaching, because he teaches on 3 different levels. Paul teaches on now, for those of you who say that the New Testament is zip, null, and void, then you can't accept the Messiah. But understand this, that when the Messiah was walking the earth, there was no New Testament. So the disciples themselves were teaching about him, because he says, lo, I come in the volume of the book. So they were teaching about him from the Torah, from the Old Testament. But the books that are written, the books that were written, or I shall say the scrolls that were written like Acts. Those are the Acts of the apostles that were documented. So those documented acts are what we read today, right? This is a historical thing of what they did, right? And we live it like it's doctrine. But it's just what your doctrine is in the Tanakh, in the Torah. Okay? What they did is what they did because they were still dealing with the Tanakh and the Torah. So your doctrine is not in the New Testament. It's just evidence of what occurred because of because of the law and the books of the prophets. The law and the prophets, that's what they had. The law and the prophets. Tanakh and the Torah, that's what they had. The law and the prophets. They didn't have a New Testament. So when you read Acts of the Apostles, you're looking at them living out the law and the prophets. Now, Christ said he came to fulfill the law, but he didn't fulfill the law, okay? Because there's only certain things that were done away with, ordinances. Because if he got rid of the law, then that means that we're all living lawless. That means that you can kill with impunity. You can kill without impunity. That means you can rob and steal. That means you can become an adulterer. You know, that means that you can rape your neighbor's daughter. That means you can kill your neighbor's son. I mean, if the law is done away with, you can just live lawless. And grace is going to cover you raping your neighbor's daughter. Grace is going to cover you. I mean, come on, really? We live under grace now. We're not under the law. That means you can just go do whatever the heck you want to do, and grace is going to cover that. Because Christ paid for all your sins. You can just go live lawlessly. And you think you're going to make it into the kingdom like that? No. No. The law is still in effect. My light went out. Oh boy, check that out. This is how the enemy does, y'all. That's what the enemy does. It's in there good and tight. I just barely touched it and it came right back on. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. You know, principalities and powers and things like that. Every time you see something wild happen in your world, think about that. Those are the things that I meditate on. So, the world lies. The world is full of lies. And all of the words of the world are empty. So you hear that music playing in the background. That's a track that I did. And these are the types of things that I try to do now. I still write, you know, hump and jump, you know, prance and dance. But I also try to write things that are low-key and worshipful, that'll keep me in worship. Like this track you hear in the back. So, as I was dealing this morning in these scriptures, when I opened up the dakes fell right open. So I'm still looking at this. I'm still studying this one out. It fell right open to Matthew. If you can see that. I hope you can see that. It fell right open to Matthew 1. And Matthew 1 deals with the genealogy of the Messiah. It starts off talking about the genealogy, you know, gives you who he comes from all the way back to Adam. And there are a lot of people who don't want to give credit where credit is due. But to prove that he's of a righteous seed, you got to see his genealogy go all the way back to Adam, because that's where it started. And so I said all that to say this, is that I believe the Father woke me up this morning to give me scriptures like these and to comfort me to be that it would be okay to go ahead and talk to my brother, because, you know, we first have to know who we are, you know, in order for us to be able to move forward. So I simply just want to show him, without camp doctrine, without camp ABC, IUC, SPK 92830, whatever the heck it is out there, camp, you know, because I didn't come into this way. You know, the Father brought me in by simple truths out of his word. I asked one question: show me on these pages. If you are who you say you are, and I am who you say I am to you, then show me where we connect, because I don't see it, and I've never seen it. I can feel you, I know you're there, but I don't see it. Where is it on these pages? And he said, okay, you want to know? I'll show you. And this is when Michael Brown had got killed. Okay, so we're not talking that long ago. All right? Excuse me, my eyes always water and tear, and especially early in the mornings. But and sometimes it's just me being emotional, but this is a situation where my eyes are just running. Hold on. So this is just a situation, my eyes just running. Put my spectacles back on so I can see. So when Michael Brown got killed, I was out on my front porch, and I was having a word. I was having a moment. I was having a huge moment with the Father, and I was like, what is it? What's going on? I don't get it. I don't understand. Why are we being gunned down in the streets and killed like animals? What is that? What is going on? It's like I'm saying about this light over here, right? So, it's hot. I'm trying to find something to grab it with. Hold on. Okay, a glove will do. A glove will do just fine. So, you know, I was trying to say, what is it? There we go. About this. Really? Really? What is it about us? What's going on with us that we're being gunned down in the streets and killed? And he said, you really want to know? It's because of who you are. This is a spiritual war, and you've always been under attack. You just didn't know it, because the enemy knew that the Messiah was coming through a certain bloodline, and so he tried to disrupt that bloodline. So he reminded me of a couple situations that I had been in earlier in my life, where I had a person of another nation look at me and call me by another name and say, come here, show me how to do that. And I said, hey, I have no problem with that, but that guy's over there. I'm somebody else. My name is, and he laughed. Well, you know, all you guys look alike to me. So, okay, so I'm being really vague about that, but that's a real situation. I'm just not covering it up. I'm not filling in some of the other blanks. But so what happened was that I have come to an understanding that they don't know who we are, because we all look alike to them. Hamites, Semites, any other ites, we all look alike to them. But since we all have this, they can't tell who's who. And they are looking for us. They travel the world looking for us. They'll never admit it. But you can find a video on YouTube where this person of another nation is like, I was floored. The Limbas say that they're Hebrews. And so he's in the village. He's like, well, I come in the village and I hear them speaking. So you claim to be he? He said, not claim, we are. See, even when they're confronted with it and it's in their face, they're going to say, you claim to be. That's why I did my DNA. I don't have to claim it. My DNA shows you. Okay, so it's those types of things. And this is the stuff that I'm trying to share with my brother. So that bloodline, this people that we are, there is an agenda. I've put the videos out. You see the videos. I put them out there where Mike Adams from Natural News, I put the video out. Look on the website. He says that there is an agenda to exterminate black people. It doesn't say that there's an agenda to exterminate Hebrews or Nigerians, or no, it's black people. Why? Because that agenda to let's get rid of Israel it's never been done away with. That agenda has always been there. I heard something. I was listening to. Oh God, what was I listening to? I don't think it was one of the books of Enoch. Or was it someone teaching out of a book? Anyway, what went past me and stuck with me was this, is that Satan said to the Father, I will get in your way and I will destroy them in your way. And as this went on, the conversation went on between them two, I heard what was said and I was like, whoa. So what was said was this, was that I don't have to be outside of your faith in order to get them. When they're out there drinking and partying or whatever, he said, I'll get right in your way. See, Christ says that I am the truth, the way, and the life. Okay? There was a time when this lifestyle was called the way. Before the 1900s, before the 1800s, before the 1700s, before the 15, 16, 1400s, this was called the way. Are you in the way? Yes, I'm in the way. And everyone knew what the way was, right? Lucifer said, I will get in your way and I'll destroy them in your way. And as I heard that go past my ears and it hit my mind, it opened up like a flower. I understood it immediately. It'll take me longer to explain it than it does for me to understand it. So let me say it like this. If you look at our churches, we have, look at an intersection in a black community. Okay, 4 corners. On 3 corners you'll have a church, and on the other corner is a liquor store. Just about every other block. Okay? Now, if the way is so strong and so good, you don't need that many churches. Because on every corner, on just about every other block, in between those blocks are storefront churches. Come on now. You can ride down you can ride down Figueroa and Broadway in LA. You can ride down, any of the other little side streets, Avalon, and just look. Just go between Manchester and Gage and ride down any of and just look. On just about every corner is 3 churches and a liquor store on every other block. And in between, I know because I played in damn near all of them when I didn't know any better. I was at the Garden of Peace. I was at Travelers Rest. Some of these are Kojic churches too. I was at Independent Baptist. I was at New Congregation. And their names fit them too, because they was very independent and independent. It was a whole new congregation over new congregation. Traveler's Rest, as a traveler, I got no rest. Garden of Peace, there was no peace in that garden. For real, I'm telling you, this was the names, and they are probably still there. And more, and more, and more. But you look at these churches, are any of them satisfying the needs of the people? Because if they were, you wouldn't have so many. It's not like we need that many. We only have one Messiah, and everybody's preaching. They claim to be preaching from the same book. They all claim to be, headed toward the same Messiah. Why are there all these churches? Because the Father says that he only has one. He has one bride that's going to be gathered up for his son. Not a bunch of little, brides coming at him from different directions. All together we are one, but we're so fragmented because the enemy told the Father, I'll destroy them in your way. And because we don't know any better, we allow it. So, my brother has a church in the way. And people and nations are being shook because he's true to his promise. He said it. He told the Father to his face, I'll destroy them in your way. They don't have to come out of your way for me to get them. I'll go in your way and get them. I wish I remember what it was I was listening to or what I was looking at. It will come to me, and I will mention it again to you. So it's about this bloodline. It's about this thing of who we are. So when the Father woke me up with this morning, I went all the way back because I'm a reader. I like to read and come forward. So I went back to let me see, this is 14. I think I went back to 11 and came forward. Yeah. Yeah, well, I read from 11. I came in on 11 and I read to 14. But I think I went back further. I went to 8 or 9. Yeah. Yeah. I went back and read forward. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take Isaiah all over again. Have you ever been in one of those situations where the Father takes your understanding to a different level and you now have to look at things differently with new eyes? That's kind of where I am with this, because I've read this before and I know all of this, but scriptures that I have read before that I know and I understood a particular way, as I'm coming back across them, they're showing me a different depth of meaning. I love that. So, anyway, family, I just am amazed at how the Father does what he does, and how he says what he says, and how he uses his word to do what he needs to do with us. And it woke me up with this right here this morning. He woke me up with this right here this morning. And I cannot get away from it, because I had just said to someone, some people were arguing in a Facebook post, or a friend of mine was complaining in his Facebook post, someone had said something and he was irritated about the racial division and the racial divide that was being spoken of. And there will come that statement of we're all God's children and we all bleed red blood and da 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 da. Well, we're all human beings and we all bleed red blood, and we're all flesh and bone, because flesh and bone has red blood. And so if I bleed, you bleed, flesh and blood. But we're not all God's children. Now, every soul that is created, he said, all souls are mine. So I had to speak to a situation, and I spoke about the fact that he has always said that he has one people that he will gather from the four corners of the earth. I said, since this came across my feed, I got to speak to it, but we should all take care of it, be good to ourselves and be good to each other. But he has a nation, he has a people that he has always said that he will gather unto himself from the four corners of the earth. That's a single solitary people. So if he has a people that he's going to gather from the four corners of the earth, then we are not all God's children. Because it says so right there. That it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover the remnant of his people. His people. It didn't say the world or every nation. It said his people. He's going to set his hand, and I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to get myself together, and I'm going to get out of the world. I'm going to grab my people from here, from there, from there. I'm going to get them all, bring them all back here. My people, right here. It says so right there. And in many other places throughout Scripture, it says the same thing. He talks about his people. So we are a people. And it goes all the way back. You look at Matthew and you follow Messiah all the way back to Adam. That's his genealogy. That's who we are. We are a particular people. From all other people on the planet, we are, a particular people. Again, I've been up since early, dark 30. And I love you, family. For you guys, you hang out with me, you see these videos, and you sit back and you listen to me share this information with you, because this is a personal journey. I'm not following a camp. I have a leader, and my leader speaks to me through his Ruach. Wakes me up and makes me come in here and crack open my books or open up my e-sword. But when I crack the book, it's the same way when I open up an e-sword. I never know where it's going to land. I just open it up, and the first thing my eye hits, that's where I go. But when it's the books, it's more specific. I had no idea. I opened up 2 books this morning. And like I've been telling you guys for the longest, this word just keeps unfolding upon itself. I open up Isaiah 11:11. Okay? In one book. And then in the other book, it falls straight open to Matthew. The genealogy. I'm like, I can't argue with this because it's too obvious what's being said here. You look at Matthew is giving you the lineage of Messiah. So we're talking about a particular group of people. Messiah said, I'm coming for my own again. You can't argue this. So, Father, I just thank you. I thank you for the people who watch. I thank you for the people who share this. I thank you in the name of Yeshua Messiah. I just thank you. This is not mine. This is all yours. It's all you. There's nothing I can do of myself. Help me have the right word for the right person at the right time. Help me guard my tongue so that I say things you want said. You're the director of my path. You're the guider of my feet. I'm just the engine that moves them. I don't know where they go. I have no idea. Any day, I just go. And you said in your word that the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So I just lay my brother and this family who listens and follows before you, Father. I pray that you set the ministering angels forward, that they will protect their homes and their bodies and their lives so that no hurt, harm, or danger will come to any of them. Some of our family are in areas that are weather torn right now with snow and rain, and I just pray you protect them in their homes, in their cars, on their way to work, coming home from work, so that wherever they depart from, they get back safely to their families. However, you know who you're calling home on any particular day. You know who you're bringing, and you know why you're bringing them. And we can't stop or prevent any of that. But I just lay them at your feet, Father. Just ask you just to allow them to be the children that you want them to be in your sight. And Father, I repent from myself, from my nation, and from my forefathers who've gone before us, that we are still a stiff-necked people who just don't get it. And that's the reason why we're still in the condition we're in today. Father, I lay myself before you, and I just say, for myself and for everyone else, forgive us of our sins. And help us be who you need us to be, who you want us to be. Help us to be more obedient as we lay ourselves before you, Father. All I want to be is obedient. I'm really tired of this captivity. And I'm tired of seeing my people go through this captivity. So help us, Father. Help us lay ourselves before you and be more obedient. Help us give up the things that we've internalized and have become so ingrained in us so that we can come home Because until we do let go of these things, you're not going to come for us. And I just pray, Father, that whatever the sins of our fathers were, help us to recognize that so we don't continue to do them, so that you can come for us. And I just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I lay my family before you. I lay my friends before you. I lay this world before you. All these souls in it are yours. You know what you're going to do with each and every one of us. And I just thank you. In Yeshua's precious name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, family. I'm good. I'm done. I'm going to see you later, okay? So you guys have a good day. And whatever happens, happens. Whatever, however it goes forward, goes forward. Just stay prayerful. You stay prayerful. Keep your family and your children prayerful. And let's do the best we can so we can get out of here, folks. Okay? Don't run out of here and go to Africa right now. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. Scripture says he's coming for us. Scripture doesn't say that the invitation gets sent and then we all just run for it. Okay? So now is not the time. And let's just wait on the Father. Can we do that, family? Can we do that, Mishpachah? Let's just wait on the family. Let's just wait on the Father. He's coming for us. And when he comes, that's when we're going to be able to get out of here. So I thank you. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Sorry it took me so long to get back to you. I've been doing some things, but we'll get together again soon. And again, hey, listen. I'm working on the website. I've been over there working on it. That's the place that we're going to have a place to hang out. Pretty soon I'm going to be getting away from Facebook altogether. So, or maybe I'll leave it open just as a place to say, hey, look, if you're over here, come over there. But I've been working on it, and it's already paid for and everything, and I just got to build it and put it together. So that's what I'm doing right now. So family, I shall see you later. Have a great day, and feel free to. You can always leave me a comment. You can always talk to me. I'm always available. If I can't get back to you that moment, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so let me know how you're living out there. All right, peace.